Yes, right now it's only English. So yes, come on to the front. Yes, wherever you want. Food will still be there, so if you want to get up and get something to eat, não tem problema comer aqui não, né? Okay, so yeah, you can eat here, guys, no problem. So if you can get food, drinks. Yes. Okay, very good. So are we live already? Are we live already? Hello, everyone. Welcome here to one more meetup of SouJava. Today we have Howdy as a partner here for this meetup, and I would like to welcome everyone who's watching us online. Thanks for being here with us. Say hello in the chat for us, right? Tell us where you're from. We actually have people. We have international. Dario. Should I say Dario or Darío? No. How do you say? Darío. Okay, yes, so it's better for us, right? So Darío is from Uruguay, right? So he's going to be speaking with us here in a minute. So very good. All right, is everyone around here? Okay, let's get started then. So, who is you going to speak? Okay, right. So, all right. So guys, welcome to SouJava, right? So SouJava is one of the largest JavaScript groups in the world. We have presence in 5 cities and here in Brazil. And SouJava is a mixture. We have 5 cities because once we incorporated into a non-profit organization, SouJava was founded in 1999. But around 2004, I think, or 2005, we incorporated into a non-profit organization. And when we did that, we merged 5 user groups in Brazil to become SouJava, right? So that's why we have 5 user groups. We have presence in 5 cities. So who is here for the first time in SouJava? Anyone here first time? First time. So welcome. We do these kind of things every month. Every 2 or 3 months we do in English, right? So it's very good for us. I think that more and more Brazilians are participating having international careers. More and more Brazilians are working remotely for international companies. So it's very good that we can also have this space where everything's in English, so we can also talk. And Howdy works with international professionals, right? And so it's very good for you guys here to be here with us, right? Okay, so let's hear a little bit from Howdy. So put your hands together here, right? So yes, let's hear a little bit. Yes. All right. Yes. So put your hands together here for Howdy. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for the applause. It's my first meetup in São Paulo with Howdy, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I hope it all goes well. So, other side. Sorry. Okay, so Howdy was founded in 2018 in Austin, Texas. We have 80 clients and we have 10 offices across the Americas. And São Paulo is coming soon. We are already testing office, doing in-person events, a lot of initiatives. So what do we do? So we connect Latin tech talent with opportunities in the US. We build full integration between tech professionals and partners, not project by project, so it's a full time. And we build a unique collaborative community of developers across Latin. How do we do it? We do the selection and match. We bet on the perfect match between Latin professionals and US companies. Direct integration. The engineers join the client teams directly with no intermediaries. And mentoring and community. We support engineers with mentoring, training, benefits, and the community. So what are the benefits? We have the Howdy houses. The São Paulo one is coming soon, our office, in nine countries around Latin America. We have in Buenos Aires, Uruguay, Colombia, so a lot of countries. And you can work from there if you want, anytime, like if you want to visit. We organize community events, so we organize after office lunches. We are already doing it in São Paulo. Today we had our weekly lunch, and we had last week our monthly happy hour. So wellness, we offer gyms and training. That means Well Hub, and I can say it's like the best Well Hub. I use it a lot, I love it. The equipment, we provide MacBooks, and anything else you need to your projects be done. English, we have a dedicated team offering English classes at different levels to support your growth. And an extra bonus if you refer someone to work at Howdy for our clients. And here are some of the opportunities that we have opened at the moment, and the QR code with all of them for you to see later. I don't know if anyone wants to get the QR code, we can share it later also. And I think that's all. Thank you. I'll pass now to Dario, who's giving his...
No. Tell us how you work. You apply to a job, how does it work?
Work. You can apply in our page, and then we'll do the interviews, the process of interviews, and then we'll find a client, you meet the client, and start working, but we always have the Howdy community. That's our difference between the other companies. Thank you.
So Mileni, you work here in São Paulo, right?
Yeah.
So anyone that wants to work, they're going to talk to you.
Yeah, can talk to anyone who wants to meet.
Right here today, but but you guys don't live here. You're going to go back.
Yeah.
Right, and you're going to stay.
Yeah.
Right, so you are the contact.
Yes.
Right.
You can look us up. I'm here to answer any questions, anything you need.
Right. So every time we have a SouJava, you're going to come. Right? Yes. Okay. So very important, guys. That's lots and lots of people are trying to do to work internationally. That's a big opportunity for you to work for for the US, for other companies in Latin America. So I can see everyone's already filling it out, right? Everyone's already putting their name, right? That's good. Okay. So why we are here? Here's what happens. That I get a little worried. We came here. I came downstairs, and there's a group of people right there. And then just not right now. And there's this group, and then more and more people went over there. Everyone is speaking in Portuguese, right? And then Darío. Right? He was here. You could be speaking with him. A couple of people did, right? So I think you guys went to talk with him, right? So good. And so that's an opportunity for you to go meet the international people, to have an opportunity to talk, to speak in English, right? To show that you are a good professional, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for good professionals to work in international companies. If they think that you can only speak Portuguese, they say, oh, not that guy, right? Okay? So we're going to have 2 talks now, and then we're going to have a dinner where you guys can talk with them. So go talk with them, okay? All right, so without further ado, we have Darío from Uruguay, right? And so Darío is going to talk to us. What's your talk?
About productivity.
Productivity.
The first day.
Productivity the first day.
From the first day.
From the first day. That's an interesting thing. Okay, so a few months ago, a mentee of mine said, Bruno, I just changed jobs and I bought this book that says the first 90 days. And I said, I don't care about the first 90 days. I'm a consultant. I don't even have 90 minutes. If in 90 minutes I did not show results for my customer, they kick me out, right? So Dario is going to show us how to be productive from the first day. So put your hand together to Dario from Howdy.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so thank you everyone for being here. The idea is to talk about, I hate this kind of microphone because I try to move my hands, but I will do my best. The idea is to try to be the most productive from the very beginning when someone enters to a new team. And I will show you why I hate the traditional onboarding process and why I love my new process that I will show you and the results using this process and some unexpected effects. So, first of all, who am I? My name is Darío Macchi. I'm the developer advocate of Howdy. As a developer advocate, what I do is sharing my knowledge and my experience in software engineering across different communities through all America. Okay, I belong to between 15 and 20 communities, virtual communities. So I try to keep up to date with all of them during the week, trying to exchange things, trigger discussions, add some details to some discussions that are ongoing. Also, I try to generate content for the social networks of Howdy, for my own social networks. So, and I give this kind of presentations and talking with the different communities across Latin America. What else I do? I'm a JS full stack developer. I have been coding in JavaScript for the last 25 years. And I know what you should be thinking. This guy doesn't know the difference between Java and JavaScript. That's an old joke. I know the difference. Indeed, I was talking earlier that back to 2004, I used to be a Java developer. It's not the same Java that you know right now, but I used to be one of yours. In JavaScript, what I do, I handle a couple of internal tools inside the marketing team, but also I'm the responsible for howdylatam.com. So if you find a bug now when you are applying to a position, it's my fault. We use this stack, but it's more meaningful for JavaScript talk. So I will jump to what else I do. I'm a software engineer professor in two of the most important universities in Uruguay. There, I mentor different teams of students that are ending their degrees. Also, I participated in a couple of research projects, and I give a couple of postgraduate courses during the year. But we are not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about productivity. So there are my social networks. You can Google my name if you want to continue working. If you continue working with Howdy, for sure. But if you want to keep in touch, you can find me if you Google my name. Let's talk about onboarding. Onboarding. If you are a Python developer, you will have onboarding when you join a team. If you are a Java developer, you will have some kind of onboarding when you join a team. If you are a JavaScript developer, we are a bit happy. We are a very happy people, but we are a bit hippie. But we have our own onboarding processes. But even if you enter a football team or even a flamenco team, you have some sort of onboarding. Okay? But I hate onboardings. I don't like onboardings. That is why I added a sad face there. Because I believe that the onboarding is very important, but also holds the team back. And I know that the team will suffer a bit when you add someone else from out there because it's normal. But what I don't like is that the team is wasting time in things that should be used in another way. For example, you are wasting time preparing tools that you won't be used in the next onboarding. I will show examples. But there are a bunch of things that we can improve right now on the onboarding processes. Let's analyze the first week of someone that is entering a team. First, that guy enter the office. We receive it. We help him with the setup. We explain basic stuff like where is the kitchen, what we order at lunchtime, how the coffee maker works, basic stuff. What we do next? We give him access to different tools. We give him access to the email, to Slack. We share a lot of links to the tools that we use every day. We share permissions, the same to everyone. But it shouldn't be like that, but you know that when you are onboarding someone, basically you do the same stuff all the time. These two stages are necessary and we can't avoid them. But then we have the meetings. We have a lot of meetings, okay? And that, I believe that is a problem. Why meetings are a problem? Because during the meetings, you have to share knowledge. The people that, the guy that is doing the onboarding need to share knowledge. And what happened with the knowledge inside a team? It's fragmented. The knowledge lives in different repositories. Some part of the knowledge is part of informal conversations. Other part of the knowledge is inside PR comments or in Jira tickets or Slack, whatever. You have to gather all that information in order to share it to someone new. We will talk about that later, but I believe that here is the main part of the problem that we already have in our traditional processes. What happened at the end of this week? We assigned the first task to someone new. And you know, all of you have been there. What is that first task? You feel it like a test. Okay? So you have all the weight of being new in a team, but also being tested. Plus, you need to discover the architecture that the team is using, the conventions, the constraints of the project, the fears of the team. You need to discover the previous decisions and written expectations. So you have a lot of weight over you when you are doing that first task. It's a hell of a week. You know, you have been there, you end that week with your brain exploded because you have a lot of information and it's not a good way to receive someone in a team. But also, it's very boring to be the one that is doing the onboarding. Okay? So, I will show you now the pains. We can't do anything with the enter, with the access. With the first task, also we can't do anything because it's okay. We choose the first task to be easy enough, but also to not be so hard in order to test the abilities of that first of that guy. So the problem is not there. Again, the problem is with the meetings. That's the real pain. We talked about the fragmentation, so I won't repeat it, but the other pain is that we need to repeat every time the same things, the same people, to new people, but repeat the same concepts, right, the same problems, repeat the same stories, the same jokes, everything we need to repeat it because nothing from one onboarding to the other is reusable. And the worst part is that that information has a lot of misinterpretations. Because the one that is preparing the onboarding has his own bias. The person only will gather some part of the story because the information is fragmented and only will tell you the part that are important to him. It's very hard to not be biased when you are giving an onboarding. So you are basically going in that to that side, and the other person is filling the gaps of knowledge with his own experience. So basically, these kind of meetings, when we share information, they don't work. They don't work. It's a broken system. So my idea in my last onboarding was how to fix this. Let's go to my recipe for a new onboarding process. As every recipe, we have a list of ingredients. We need to find out what are the ingredients and how to mix them in order to prepare a new recipe. The first ingredient is we have a problem that causes a real pain. That is the first ingredient for my recipe, right? Let's see the second ingredient. For the second ingredient, we need to interrupt our regular scheduled program to bring you some important messages. So hold on that thought because it will be important a bit later, okay? I will ask you, what have you learned from AI in the past 3, 4 years? A lot, I believe. I will make it easy and I will answer the question. We have learned that context is important, okay? Right, the context is important. So when you ask an AI to do something, you just don't say, do this. No, what you do is giving context. You give him the goals, the project structure, the files that are important, the constraints of the project, decisions, the style of coding, what to avoid, which files you don't touch, please, the expected outcome, the shape of the outcome. So you provide the AI a lot of things in order to obtain what you want, right? So that made me wonder why, or if for people this is working in the same way. Is the content important for people? And I say, okay, yes, it's important, right? And indeed, in the traditional way of doing onboarding, we are providing this kind of context. But we are providing when the person is working in the first task with all that weight over his shoulder, and we are doing in an oral way. So every time that poor man that is suffering with that first task needs something, start asking questions and we answer them orally. And that information gets lost, right? So the second ingredient is the importance of the context and also the idea of a context window. We need to prepare that context for the new guy to be short enough to only have the scope for the first task, not a very big onboarding. We don't need someone talking for hours about things that it won't be useful for 2 months. I need something useful for the next week or for this week, okay? That is the second ingredient. Let's see the third one. We are onboarding a person, right? But also, and I discovered this only 6 months ago, we are onboarding his AI. We are not only onboarding a person, but we are onboarding a person that will use an AI. And that is very important. So I found my secret ingredient. I need a recipe to work okay with these 3 ingredients. I need to create instructions. So we go back to our scheduled cooking lesson. For my beer, I will tell you how we do this. Okay? We have our timeline with the first week that we already talked. But I wanted to do something that I named the day 0 for the first task that will happen before the first week, before the onboarding. What will happen? We will have this day 0 that has the same color of the first task because it's related. During this day 0 that happens before the first week, we will do this. We will start thinking about what this new guy will need to solve the first task. Only that, what he will need. And we start doing a planning for that, a roadmap. We don't want to explain everything in the same way you are not explaining everything in a context when you are setting the context for an AI. In the same way, you don't want to explain everything. You just want to explain which is relevant. You want to explain the rules to follow. You need to explain what to not touch, how we validate that the task is okay. And we need to do that in order to solve that first task. We are not avoiding the meetings, but we are reducing them and we are trying to make them more reusable. We will see that with an example. But first, the documentation, if we do this, will no longer be a massive repository of knowledge, but it will be a tool for action. It will be something very useful for that first task. Okay? Well, let's see an example on how we do that. Let's say we have this first Jira ticket is to add an endpoint to retrieve an invoice status. The context, every Jira ticket should have a context. Basically, we need to expose an endpoint to the billing API so that other services can retrieve the current status of an invoice using its invoice ID. The invoice status already exists in the database, but is used internally by the payment flow. Then we set the expected response, that is a basic JSON with that shape, and the possible status, okay? This task is something doable for someone that is already part of the team. It has enough information, it's an easy task, anyone can do it. But someone new need more context, more information. I need more context. For example, which other services will be using this? How often they will hit this endpoint? How the status of an invoice is changed? How often the status is updated? How the payment flow works? How all this is verified? You need to know everything in order to create something that will be suitable with the expected outcome. The person that will be reviewing my code and will be responsible for merging it is expecting. So, how do we do to provide that context? We create something that is understandable by the AI and by a person, an empty file. That is where my context will live. So this is basically the version of the context I will need in order to make this happen and the person produce the right output using the context that I defined during the day zero. I will say, okay, this file is day zero context for ticket and the number of the ticket. Why this document exists? The document provide the context needed to implement the ticket. I do mention the ticket number because if you have your cloud connected with Jira, it will find the task that is written there, so you don't need to repeat the task inside the context. That is how I reuse the pieces of knowledge that are shared in the different parts. If you have something that is useful in a Google Doc, or if you have something that is useful in a wiki page or in another place, you can mention here the relevant stack, only the stack that is important for that task, the general architecture of the invoice module that is part of where this will live, which file to check first, what not to touch, how to validate, everything you want to, the knowledge that you want to transfer to that person that in a week will be doing that task, you put it there, okay? Well, how the whole thing works. This is the process. Before the day zero, I will say to my Cloud MD that I will be using this different kind of documentation. I will say, okay, here in the docs/RFCs, I will store this short scope context. And then in the doc internals, I will save other kind of document that I will explain in this step. That is before starting to work. Then, during day 0, I will create the branch for that task, the task that I will assign to the new guy next week. There, I will create the task description, or if you have it connected with Jira, that the step number 2 is not needed. In the third part, you will create this context file, okay, and you will save it there. But you will notice that during the process of writing that file, you will discover parts that are reusable. For example, if you are writing this context file and you want to explain how the endpoints handle the authorization, that doesn't belong only to this task. That knowledge belongs to all the endpoints. So that pieces of information that are general, you will save it inside these internals documents. Those pieces are reusable pieces of knowledge that will be used by different tasks. Then you commit everything and you push it. Doing this, I can create pieces of knowledge that will be reused next week when this poor guy enter into our team and will suffer all the access and all the stages and suffer all the meetings, but the meeting will be very short, very focused, because I don't need to explain a lot of things. I have to put this guy to work, and he will notice that he's part of the team, and he will notice that he's productive. 1 week later, this poor guy entered the team, put it, the branch, and asked his Claude to solve the first task. Because we know that this is what will happen, okay? His Claude will have a lot of information to create that first task. Okay, we have a bunch of documents to find out which files to touch, what is the structure of the project, which are the constraints. So we can ask, or this guy will ask Claude to create a plan. Depending on the seniority of this new member of the team, we can ask him to push this plan, and we can review the plan before even converting that plan into code, or we can just ask him to execute the plan, and all that information will be part of our code base. The short scope context, the plan, and the code. If I do this, I will have a better onboarding process, as I will show you. This is a phrase that I have been storing for years that say that when you are onboarding, you aren't just teaching people how things works. That is the old approach for the traditional onboarding processes. We teach him how things works, but we are designing what kind of company they believe they have joined. And that is very important, because doing this, I can start discovering things that are not working the same way as I thought. For example, when I'm reviewing the security of the endpoints to document them, I can find endpoints that are not being secure, or that the way I'm doing the security of the endpoint is not the best one. And I discovered it here, the day 0, 1 week earlier. So I can ask the new guy, okay, this is working in this way, but don't take it into account, because I wanted to make it better. I don't want you to copy and paste the way we were doing the authentication before, because it's not working, and I want to improve it. This is the moment to say that, 1 week earlier. Also, when you are reviewing the plan, you can say, okay, I think that this is not correct. Why don't we do it in this way? But the new guy has the opportunity to say, in my previous work, we used to authenticate in this way, using this library or using this approach. It's a good way to do it, and he can do it in the plan. and you can review it and say, oh, this guy is thinking out of the box. I like this idea. And that is part of what you really want to test in someone new. Okay, I put this into work. I did an onboarding doing this, but my team is a small team. I did it only once. I needed to do it with a much larger team. So I took one of my students' teams and I asked him to follow the same process in order to test if this worked for them or not. And these are the reports of my team merged with his team, their team, in order to see what happened when they started to do this. First, the new guy asked better questions because the basic stuff is all there in the context files. Fewer interruptions, so you are not wasting time of the rest of the team. Basically, when someone interrupts Ada, because the answer is not there, is something that if it's not there or it's not important and you are testing that the guy didn't understand anything about the task, but if it's important, it's a way to test how this new guy thinks. More targeted reviews. If you have the plan, if you have the documentation, you know before doing the review which files will change because you know your system, you know your project or your module, and you know the scope of the task. Finally, a change relationship with the documentation. Now the documentation belongs to everyone. Everyone will be contributing to this live document that lives inside our project. So next time I ask Claude something, Claude will say, okay, but remember that in the task number 18, you said this, and now you are saying this one. But it's different, the approach that you are following. Why? And you will have to explain to Claude, and you will have to change something in order to make it compatible or think about the next task. You will have to change something in the document in order to don't repeat that error or adjust that difference. Finally, we will review, as a wrapping up, the unexpected effects. First, we achieve the right context for every task, not only for the first task, but for everyone. By writing this context, we can identify patterns and extract general documentation that is something very useful. This is the first time in all my career where I can have almost free documentation for my project. I have been documenting projects that are from 2013. So now we have that ability. We can ask the AI to generate a lot of documents. But then we need to have something inside the process to keep them up to date. Then each task helps the team prepare for the next one. When you start working in this way, you will see that the first task you will suffer creating these documents, but the next one you will suffer a bit less, sorry, and then you will discover that this process will help you to keep your documentation consistent with your code and consistent with what you are thinking about the process, the project. Okay? 4, every person not only goes through onboarding, but they can also provide onboarding. Until now, the guy that is doing the onboarding is the one with more seniority. Okay? So basically, you have a bottleneck, you have to put all the news together in a room in order to reuse that moment, and explain everything to all of them to reduce the time you waste in onboarding. Now everyone can do the onboarding to anyone because all the team members know how to create this kind of files. At the end of the day, you have this self-maintaining, up-to-date, lightweight documentation with a shared ownership. And what happened in both teams where I tested this, it started to be something they want to keep doing after the onboarding. They ask to continue working this way after the onboarding, the whole team. The whole team view value on doing stuff like this and continue working in this way for their new tasks every day. And right now, I have two teams working this way. So that is what I wanted to show you, this new kind of onboarding, this new recipe of creating an onboarding process. I hope you like it and you use it. And I'm open to question if you have anyone. There.
Hello, good night. I'm Fernando Gomes. Great presentation, great subject, by the way. I like the idea to have this preparation before and people doing something in the initial days. In addition of the side of doing that, what do you think about pair programming at the first weeks with another members?
Okay, I like that one. First programming for me, it was always a very good idea because you can see someone else working and solving issues, hard issues, but I don't like the bias of the pair programming. Remember that we talked about the bias at the very beginning. Uh, when you started to work with someone, you started to copy the way he's doing things. I like the pair programming when you switch the pair. If you start switching the guy that is conducting the pair programming, that is another variation of the programming that I like it. Because there you avoid the bias and there you can learn from a lot of person and you can interact with them. So programming for me is something that is very useful even now.
I need to say that I like so much about your idea, but I had another question. How we can handle bad patterns on legacy solutions? You had an idea about it?
Okay, for legacy code, I believe that you need to start documenting first before doing something like this, because what I have found out in legacy code is that things are happening in the code in a different way than what you think is happening. You have an idea of what is happening inside the code, but then when you go there and you check it, you say, oh, but this is not working the way I thought, or this is not using this library, although it's part of the dependency, it's not using it anymore. Why is this happening? So uh, if you start asking the AI to create documents, general document, just to see what is going on there, and then you can start creating tasks like this one in order to correct the old documentation or that documentation that was generated over the legacy code. But I don't think you can start from scratch with legacy code using this kind of approach. You don't have you don't have the knowledge to create those first short scope contexts. Okay.
Pulling a little bit for this last answer, how can you like describe for the AI what's important for that whole documentation? Because sometimes I feel like we pull too much into a documentation that we don't need for even especially for legacy code, like, and then it becomes massive and you like a bunch of the part you're gonna not gonna need. What's the important that you need to document for that?
Okay, that is a hard one. You don't know. You don't know the right amount of information in the same way that you don't know the right amount of information when you are asking an AI and you see, for example, that there are skills that have hundred of lines, but also the anthropic skills are very short. So you don't know where the limit is. What I do, I don't like to repeat something. So I try to reuse everything and I try to create maps of already built information and try to link all of them. For example, our cloud links information that lives in Google Drive, that lives in ClickUp, that lives in other MD files, in a PDF. If we use several libraries, I linked to the documentation that is in their websites. I don't. I try to not repeat information inside the MD files, but how much, how many lines or how big the files can be. What I like to do is from time to time I like to test if every part is being used. I try to, for example, the other day I created a fake marketing team. So I started doing questions in order to see if it's taking information from other sources with real names or if using the file I added with fake data. Doing it in that way, I can prove that it's using the file that I'm providing and it's not using the rest of the file. And you start fighting between the importance of your MD files against other MD files that are outside the scope of the task.
Hi, my name is Maximilian. So, congratulations for this presentation. It's amazing. I think that right now we got a problem about governance about documentation. And today we see a lot of companies creating documentation through AI and so on, but something is still there. It is the spread of documentation inside of the companies. So, and we realize, as you mentioned right now, that you need to be um, directive, strict with the restriction in order to save money, save context, save tokens, and so on. And how do you do those things? Because I used to see in the open source world, the documentation keeps near to the code. But doing this way, we could spread everything as well. How do you manage those things and how do you organize those things in your side and company?
Okay, using empty files is the best way to keep it near the code, and any AI will keep synchronizes the documentation with the code. So there you don't have an spread of knowledge outside your repository. But you already have a lot of information living out there, and you don't have the ability to change it through, or it's very dangerous to change it through an AI. What I like to do is ask the AI to find out the differences and try to solve those differences inside the repository to cut the connection to that old repository of knowledge. So every time something is different, for example, the other day we had a difference between inside marketing what we call an MQL, a marketing qualified lead. We have a difference in the number of years of experience. The first documentation that we had stored in Google Drive said something, and the most near the code documentation said other thing. So we discovered that difference. We joined together. We established what is the real rule for MQLs, and we cut that connection to Google Drive. We save the real information inside our repository. So next time we don't find that inconsistency between the old documentation and our code. But that documentation lives in an empty file. Obviously, that there is something in the code that reflects that rule, but it's very easy for an AI if you change any part of the code to point that the other part is not linked with the documentation with the code and vice versa. So that is how we are solving this kind of differences with the spread of knowledge that is out there. It doesn't solve the governance because everyone is able to touch the documentation. But I believe that is only part of our way of work and of the review process. If you want to establish rules, you can establish rules of, okay, these documents only can be touched by some people. But if you do that and someone has a good idea and find out this kind of deconnection, you need to report to the responsible of doing those kind of changes. You can do it, but you add more bureaucracy to the whole stuff. It's not part of what we want to do in these both teams because it's very horizontal. Okay. More questions? Another one? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that you mentioned about requests for comments and so on, those are documents that you put those things. And I know that the most of companies got some levels, and we got the civil level, C levels, and the engineering level, and so on. And most of the time, the task comes from the top. And sometimes the idea of the solution is holding on the C level, but it's not coming to the engineer. And sometimes I saw some C level got a specific perspective of the solution, but in a reality, it's not the true because knowledge is spreading on those things. How do you deal with in your C levels and so on? Because I know that, okay, engineering, we can talk together because we're talking in a technology way, but some executive person speaks a lot of kind of vocabulary, and we need to translate those things. How do you do this? How can you fill this gap between those things?
First, you need your C level to have the willing of doing that kind of document and sharing that kind of information. But assuming you have that, I believe that the MD file is the best place to do that. For example, our COO created all the complex operational process as a set of MD files, and everything is there. How operations works, everything, how the recruiters are doing their job, how they process information and present it to partners. So everything is there, and because the vocabulary and the jargon is difficult to understand and they have a lot of concepts, they created a dictionary. So the skills that are using the people that is below this hierarchy are using that dictionary in order to understand and go back and forth with the documentation that was generated by the COO. Our COO is understand an MD file enough to create it, but if you don't have that ability because you have it's not a technical guy, you can create a Google Doc and something just to convert it to an MD file that can be useful for the lower part of the hierarchy. And you can place all that hierarchy inside an cloud team and give the governance to someone to touch only the files that has all the knowledge, and the rest of the guy maintain the dictionary, and the other guys keep update the skills that everyone is using. So that is a way we use to solve it.
kind of skill. It's a kind of skill management right now. We just beyond the code, beyond the create those things, we need to manage those things and create some kind of skill management, or maybe ubiquitous language. Of course, it's coming from domain driven design. It's some that comes from there, and it's interesting to see that AI comes, but it's not just a tool. It's a kind of way to change the production things. Am I right? You need to put those things on in the flow, not just like a tool if you are using those things. Thanks so for your comments. Thanks again.
Okay. More questions? Yep.
Hello, my name is Felipe. Good night. And you talk about how a good onboarding process should follow. And I want to ask, how am I as a coder should prepare to the onboarding? I mean, should I prepare a good agent MD or something that, what do you see as something that I need to have in my agent MD or something like that?
Okay. That is an easy one. I think that you shouldn't prepare anything. We hire someone because we trust in the abilities of that guy. So you need to put those abilities over the table and solve the task we are assigning to you. I believe that in the old way of doing the onboarding, we also asking you to discover things, to support the long meetings and the biased information that I can give you during that week. We are asking a lot more things that with this process. With this process, we only need you to do what you know that you can do and bring on the table what and give us reason to justify your hiring. So you don't need to prepare anything. You need to know how to use your tools, and you need to be aligned with the AI policies of the guys that are hiring you. For example, if you are in an interview, you can ask, okay, which tools are you using? How the tools are organized? If I start next week, I can use my own AI configuring the way I like it, or you have a team version of some AI, and I need to adjust my skills in order to start working with this new AI. These are fair questions, I believe. But beside that, you don't need to do anything. Okay? Okay.
Sorry to bother you. Okay, so much more we can see that fundamentals are so important, but we know that AI can help us to understand a lot of things. And to get started, something, as you mentioned, you got the ME, that you got what you need to do, the outputs and so on, the validation and so on. But what your opinion about the fundamentals of software development and software engineering in this AI area? Because I realized that, okay, I got the skills, I got my plan, I got my tasks, I put my cloud got some pre-training stuff. I can just put that and okay, okay, I know that you review those codes, but how do you do it and how do you treat these fundamentals in today with this process?
No, don't worry, don't worry. Okay, that's an easy one. I have been coding for the last 30 years, so I don't lie to you. I believe that fundamentals are very important. If the AI tells you that you need to review to go one by one a list of 1,000 whatever, and it's a for each, and you know because the domain of the software tells you that maybe that 1,000 will become a million or 2 billion or whatever, you will know that the answer is not correct. But maybe it wasn't correct when you started writing the context file or when you wrote the task. That is why I don't trust in the spec-driven development, because you can do a lot of mistakes when you are writing in natural language. So you need the fundamentals to recognize those patterns and try to fix them before reaching production and breaking things. So I believe fundamentals are a very important part of all of this. The other day, I was reading a tweet from Uncle Bobo, and he was saying that he doesn't review the code anymore. Basically, he surrounds the code with a bunch of different kind of tests using Gherkin language and other techniques in order to, without watching the code, be sure that everything is working in the way he wants. That can be another way of solving this. But nobody now has an answer for that. I don't like the people that is answering that question today, because we don't have recognized the pattern in order to create solutions for that. So we can start thinking of different kind of solution, but we can, it's not responsible to say, okay, this should be in this way. People are saying that, and maybe someone will be right, but that is like the predictions that people say over the years, that something will come, or the end of the world will be some day. Okay, it's not trustable. Okay, we are ready? Great. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you, Dario. So now we have Bruno presentation. Just a few minutes to set up. You're going? Okay.
Okay, I'm going to present here before Bruno. Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Real. I'm from SouJava. I helped organize here, so I really hope you are enjoying this evening. But we are here at this beautiful place with amazing people. The Java community is amazing. We all know, right? And I'm here to present our next guest. You know Bruno, but I'm working with Bruno in my career for 2 years now. He's a good friend, he's my mentor, and I'm always learning new things from him, even working for 2 years. Last week, for example, I was with him at TDC Floripa, and I told him I had a mentorship session at the event, talking about career, about visibility. And I said, Bruno, one guy from my mentorship, he wasn't even listening to me. I'm really sad. And he said, it doesn't matter. Sometimes the people that seems like is not listening to you is the person actually that needs the most. The person that really needs your help. And for my surprise, like 2 days after, the same guy sent me a message, and yeah, he was listening. And he scheduled a conversation with Bruno to talk about his career. So yeah, another lesson learned from Bruno, and he was right. So just sharing this story with you, because I really, I'm sure you will have great things to learn from him. So Bruno Souza, Java champion, my friend, my mentor. Your name was before. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love to be presented by friends, right? Because he says things, cool things. All right. So while I was people still coming in, and I was talking to Luis a little bit, I got a phone call today. And so before I tell about the phone call, let me tell the backstory. Last week, I had a friend of mine asking me to give a talk, because he could not give a talk in an online event, right? And so he could not come there. And so he said, Bruno, can you go there and give a talk for me? I said, sure, I can represent you. And so I went to the place, I went online, it was online. So I went online to give a talk for him. And he showed up, right? He originally he could not, but he showed up. And so, he was there while I was giving the talk. And, he showed up for a little bit and helped me out. And it was really interesting because I said, man, you said you couldn't. I'm here, so go do whatever you don't need to be here. Don't need to wait to put time on this. And he said, no, that's okay. I'll be here too. And after that talk, this friend of mine had an interview. And so he called me right now because he told me that during the talk, I answered a question about interviews. Someone asked a question about how to do interviews, all that, and I said, you should ask lots of questions, right? Because the more questions you ask on an interview, the better. And he told me right now, he said, Bruno, I did not need to be there, but I wanted to be there with you, so I showed up. And that tip that you gave about interviews, I said, oh, I never did that on an interview. So I'm going to change my interview. So he said he changed his script for the interview. And then yesterday, no, not yesterday, last week, right? So when he had to go do this interview, he asked lots of questions. And he said, the guy just opened up for me. He told me lots of things. And the guy finished the interview by saying, I don't know who else we need to interview, but for me, you are the guy. We need to give the position to you. And so this friend of mine was very happy about that, right? And of course, when you know how to do things better, it's good, right? But I think the interesting thing is that he did not need to be there. He asked me to go there, so he did not need to go to be there, but he did anyway. Right? Like you guys here. Many of you had other things to do. Maybe you had family to attend to. Maybe you had, jobs to work. You have to wake up early tomorrow. You don't have to be here. But you came anyway. And that's when we take action, things happen in our lives. Right? And sometimes it's a little thing. You come in, like Luis was talking about the story of the guy. Right? You come in and you're not very interested, but there's one thing that the person says. Say, I'm going to do that. And then you do it and everything changes. Right? My friend Risha right there, last time that we had a SouJava, we were talking and I said, go do that, man. Right? And he did. Because we've met many times since the last time that SouJava did, because he was doing exactly what we agreed to do last time. And so small things, small steps makes a lot of difference, right? And so while you're here, that's the moment for you to take a small step. Whatever it is, I don't know what you want in your life, I don't know what you want in your career, but something that happens here can change your life. Luis was telling me at the developers conference last week that he first participated to DC online from his house. And he thought, that's such a great event. I should go there. And now he's here, giving talks at the event, helping out on SouJava, organizing things, building his career, traveling internationally. So it's that little first step. Make sense? And today here, you guys have a very interesting first step. Darío just gave a talk, so now everyone knows him, right? The whole team of Howdy is here, and they're looking for someone, right? They're looking, I don't know, maybe you have such a great job that you don't need another job, right? Maybe you're working for such an amazing company that you're not looking for something else. But you listen to one of those guys and say, that's an interesting job, right? It's international. It's, it pays well. It's fully remote, right? So that changes something. Make sense? But nothing's going to happen if you don't take the first step. You already did, right? You came here. You took the first step because you're here, right? But there's another step. You have to go talk to them. Make sense? That's what we want. We want to do those small steps and make a big difference. And you that's watching us online, me and Luis were looking, there's 10, 15 people online. So there's 15 people there. Hello, right? So you're not here with us for whatever reason. Maybe some people are very far away. I gave a talk yesterday about international career, and there's people from Belém, Pará, right? Very far. Rondônia, very far. So maybe they can't come here. But you can still access the website. You can still apply for a job, and maybe you can get something. But you have to do it. That's the most important thing, right? The way we do SouJava is like this. We want you guys to do things. That's why we do things in person. That's why SouJava is run by volunteers. Everything that we do here, it's a volunteer that comes in and helps out. So you can come and participate. You can help out too, right? But it's always taking the little action, okay? So I'll tell you this. 8:35 is the time that we're supposed to serve dinner. Right now. Okay? So I'm not going to extend too much here because we have giveaways and we have to go eat dinner, right? But I'm going to be here talking to you guys. But I think I have time, I can do 5 minutes or 4 minutes now. I think I have time for a couple of questions, right? So here's what I want you to think about. What do you need to know right now to achieve your dream? What is the biggest challenge you have on your dream? Because the same thing that happened to my friends, that I answer a question and change his life, because, if he does get this job, it's going to be amazing for him, right? Maybe I can help you out with a little thing, a little nudge that's going to help you achieve the biggest dream. So think about your biggest dream and what question do you have that I can answer right now about anything, about AI, about Java, about career, about international, about whatever. Any questions? Everyone's good. Everyone has everything that you want, everything that you need, right? You don't have any problems. That's it? Come on, go ahead.
Well, I'm an intern right now, so I'm initiating my career. And my biggest question is, how do I know that I'm in the right path? So that's the question.
Very good. It's a great question. Who else? Because I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to get a couple of questions. I'm going to answer all of them. One more? No? All good? Come on. Mateus was the rock star.
I just was in the right place in the right time. I think I have a big dream, and I know it is. It's working with open source, as you know. But sometimes I feel a little overwhelmed by the quantity of stuff to be done. So I need to have time to open my PRs. I need to have time for community, for talks, and how to be aware, how to know what not to not focus. So what should I ignore to keep in the right track for my dream? It's similar of the first question, but I think it's useful.
All right. Last question? Okay. That's it. That's the last one.
I heard, I think some months ago from a story of Instagram of Elder Moraes, and he mentioned something that I will never forget. He mentioned that uh, small success is the enemy of big success. For example, in my career right now, I feel that I'm having a success that maybe I have never imagined, but it's way too far for what I want to achieve. So it is easy for you to accommodate on what you have. So what do you think? I'm not being like ungrateful. I know that I want something huge. Like when I entered here, I really love Audi cars, so I was crazy seeing these cars. So for example, it's something that I want to achieve. It's not material success. Not only this is something bigger than this. But that is the question. What do you think about this? The sentence that small success is the enemy of big success.
Very cool. So I'm going to answer those three questions really quick. This is my book called Developer Career Master Plan. It has 15 steps on how you can achieve your dreams, right? And so if you go to this QR code here, you're going to get the first chapter for free. So you can do that while I'm going to answer those three questions, right? So I love this idea that small success is the enemy of big success, right? I don't think it's about success more, right? It's more about it's very, very easy for us to focus on the minor things. Instead of we focus on the big things, we focus on the minor things, right? He asked the question. He said, there's so many things for me to do. I need to open a PR. I need to go to a user group. I need to give a talk. Those are the small things, right? Those are the things that have to be done. But the reality is, what is the big dream? What is the most amazing thing that you want for your life? And usually it has nothing to do with open source, has nothing to do with Java. The big dreams is like, I want to give a good life to my family. I want to change to another country. I want to buy a house, right? Those are the big dreams. And we forget the big dreams by thinking of the small stuff, right? He's asking, what can I do? What can I forget? What can I not do? We waste so much time during the day. We go watch TV. We go watch YouTube videos. We spend time on social media. There's so much time during the day. I mean, even at work, we have to wait for the task to run. And then we go on AI, and you ask a question, and you keep waiting for the AI to answer, and you read what AI is writing on the middle, right? Have you done that? Everyone does that, right? You don't have to do it. I try to do it a lot of times. I try not to do, but then suddenly I'm there reading again. We waste so much time every single day. And then he's asking, what can I drop? Those things. Drop those things if you can. Drop the waste of time. The thing that doesn't bring you anything. Focus on the important things. Focus on the big dream. How many times during the day you think about your big dream? I was talking to a guy the other day, and I said, what's your biggest dream? Oh, it's to buy a house. And I said, but that's such a big dream, so far away, etc. I never think about it, And then I said, how much money do you need to buy a house? Well, I never thought about that. Let's think about it, right? So let's think about it. Let's research a little bit, And he did a research, and he said, I could buy a house right now. And then suddenly that dream, that's like, it's impossible, it's possible just because he looked at it. Right? So that's what we have to do. We have to think about what is the big dream that you have, and am I looking at it all the time? Right? Because in reality, The big dreams are achieved with this small daily action. You don't get healthy by deciding I'm going to be healthy today. Get healthy by doing things every single day, by eating well every single day, by doing sports every single day, by brushing your teeth every single day, right? These small actions get the big dreams. But if you forget the big dreams, then you don't do the small actions. Make sense? Right? So I can't answer what you can drop, but you know what you can drop. Because you know what the things you're doing that take you to the big dreams, and the things you're doing that doesn't take you to the big dreams. Drop those. Right? And he asked you, how do I know I'm the right path? Do you really care if you're on the right path or not? When you have when I came here, I left my house, and I came here, what did I do on the GPS? I put the path on the GPS, right? I said, go through these roads here, right? Is that how I did? Yeah? Is that how you do? You put the path on the GPS? Is that what you do? No, what did you do? You put the destination, right? Because the path can change. There's a car accident. There's too much traffic. You miss a turn and you go somewhere else. The path changes all the time. We adjust, we improve. Look, I've been working on computers for a long time, right? I'm not, like 30 years, right? I'm working on Java for 30 years, computers even more, So do you know how many times things changed in this 30 years? Do you know how many technologies yes, that's the technology future, and it just disappeared, doesn't exist anymore? Everyone here is using AI right now. We don't even know if AI is going to be available in a year from now. We just don't. So you don't know if you're on the right path, because the path changes all the time. But you have to make sure that you know the destination, and that you are always checking if you're going in the right direction, if you're getting closer or not to your destination. Because we have to think about the big things. Our goals are the big goals. Because the small goals, we're like, yeah, I can. There's a last thing I'm going to say. There's a story of the hare and the tortoise, right? Hare is rabbit, right? Yeah, because in English is the hare and the tortoise, right? But for us here, é a lebre e o coelho, right? So hare is lebre, tortoise is I'm sorry, a lebre a tartaruga. Yeah, I mean a lebre a tartaruga. So tortoise is the tartaruga, hare is the lebre, right? So on that story, the hare, we think that the hare is lazy, right? She just goes sleep, right? But that's not the story. The story is not about the hare being lazy. It's about the hare having small goals. Because the hare looks like, win the tortoise? This is so easy. This is such a small goal. I don't need to do it. I can just go do something else. I can go read a book. I can go watch YouTube. I can go do other things. Because that's a small goal. I don't need to do it. And then what happens? It does not do it. It never achieves the goal. Now for the tortoise, that is the most important goal of her life. Right? It's impossible. It's really hard. It's really difficult. But she's going to do everything she can to achieve it. Because it's the biggest goal of her life. So she does it. Right? So that's the same thing. For you, what we need is big goals, because we go after big goals. Make sense? So then, I was gonna say go eat dinner, but we're not gonna eat dinner. Now we're gonna have some giveaways. But thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You're gonna lead the giveaways?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bruno. Really great. Let me put my.
Okay, so why should we doing this? We have two books here by Pact Publishing, right? So Pact's a partner, right? So that's the same company that published my book, for example. One of the books is from Professor Isidro, Java champion here from São Paulo, right? It's a very cool book. So, Pact is giving us books for us to give away in every SouJava meeting, right? So, thanks Pact, right? So on the here, thanks Pact, right? Actually, I should say here, right? Yes. So I'm not sure if that was seen there, right? So guys, Pact is a partner for us. Pact is giving some books away. That's the book from Professor Isidro. So thanks so much, Pact Publishing.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we are doing the activity to draw the prizes. We have the amazing books. We have some prizes from Howdy. So if you could all please scan the QR and answer the forms, please. Also, if you could please, if you want to join our newsletter with our events and opportunities, please press yes or sim. I believe, I don't remember if it's in Portuguese or English, but feel free to join it. And please let me know once you all get it.
Ah, no. Yo voy a decir en un momento. Yes. Everybody's working out the forms. It's okay. Does anyone have questions?
Well, they have to do the giveaways. Who's still filling out?
Everybody did it?
Everybody finished?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Here?
Wait.
Right?
There is one.
Okay. All right, done. Everyone done?
Yay.
So let's go.
Okay.
Giveaway.
Oh, wait.
Great.
Okay, let me just find the wheel for a moment, please. It was here. Oh my god.
Everyone done?
Just a second. It's on my side, sorry.
Okay, so here's one thing. What about if people are online?
Did they do it?
Did it show on the screen the QR codes?
Okay, un momentico.
No, it didn't show on the screen. No, it did not show the screen. So let me just say, I'm just saying say goodbye to the people online.
Okay. You have to, it's on.
Okay. No, that's okay, because I'm just using the other microphone. So everyone online, we forgot to say goodbye to you guys, right? Because now we're going to have dinner here. So thanks so much. It was awesome to have you here. And so put your hands together to the guys online. Yeah. Thank you.